Secondly, you want it in one paragraph, but let me try.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Quite many years ago, about 8 years ago, but more than 8 years ago, Constant Viljoen phoned me and he asked me, Hein, please, we need to get the accord. We've got to get the accord alive again because it's been suppressed and it's been quiet for many years. I said, what is the accord? He was very surprised. He said, Hein, you want to tell me you don't know what the accord is? I said, no, I don't know. He said, well, in a way that proves my point. Because Constant and myself have been talking about independence since, I don't know, 1998, or somewhere around there. I can't remember, 98, somewhere around there. So he was very surprised that I didn't even know about the existence of the signed accord. Make a long story short, the signed accord is the accord that he basically forced the ANC to sign before the election of the 27th of April 1994. And that accord gives us the right, in that accord,
Okay.
apart from the constitution and everything, apart from that, it gives us the right to self-determination. And he asked me to get this going again because nothing happened to the accord. And yeah, well, that was one paragraph. And then I started with the process because I realized very quickly by getting it alive again, and I really spent my mind and my time with it. The English would say is I've applied my mind to the problem, that from a political point of view, it is virtually impossible to do it. And I can explain why, but I don't think it's necessary now. But the long and the short of that is quite simply because it doesn't matter which and where and how you are involved in a political party. A political party, that the nature of the animal is for and against. We don't want to start the process where you can have people that automatically must be against it. If people are against it, against secession, it means either they don't understand the process, or secondly, they have got too much to lose for you to have your freedom. That's the long and the short of it.
Yeah,
that's how the ELA basically started, because we originally started with a meeting between so-called white and colored leaders in Montague, in which I think it was 2 weeks before the meeting, Peter Maree phoned me and asked me, Hein, the colored leaders ask, is it possible that General Constant Viljoen can also be there? I said, well, sure, I'll ask him. So he also came to the meeting, which is quite an historic thing because that's how everything started. And everybody that was there signed that agreement that we will work towards self-determination. The interesting thing is, the only political party that was there that was supposed to fight for our independence, who had the accord, never did anything before the Montague Accord, and that was literally about, I think, 7 years ago. And since then, has still not done anything for self-determination.
Were they supposed to be like the custodians of this process initially?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you took it over. Okay. All right. And was it quite a mission unraveling the international process, the international law, secession law process? I mean, there's quite a bit involved there.
Brett, must I also answer you that in one paragraph? Because the long and the short is I can't. It'll take a week to answer you on that one. But the long and the short of that is that if you go to any attorney or advocate in South Africa today, chances that an advocate or attorney will know anything about the international law and specifically on secession. I'm talking about my own experience, trying to talk to people. I would say it's less than 1% of the legal fraternity really knows anything about it. And that's the reason why I spent the time and really got to know it very well. But then again, you can't blame them because they don't need it, obviously.
Well, true. They don't see the need for it. You're right. And we're very happy that you actually did that. Those of us who understand what it's all about and it's starting to embed itself in our DNA, we're very grateful for all the aggravation you've gone through to
Can I give you my bank details that you can show your gratitude? Just a joke.
All right. Good. Okay. So let me open the floor for the first time this evening. If anybody has a question for Hein or would like just to comment on what we're talking about, all you have to do, push the little microphone button. If you're not familiar with Telegram, there's a little microphone button next to your name. You just press that. It'll turn blue, which is an indication to myself and Peter and the other admins on the group that you want to talk, and we'll add you to the stream, and away you go. It's as simple as that. And like I said previously, this is your opportunity to chat directly with the President of the United Liberty Alliance, Hein Marx. Hein, nothing so far. So I'd like to pick up maybe where we were last week. We had a really cool conversation about the Bill of Rights. And it's very clear that a lot of thought and planning and strategy and foresight has gone into this. We ended up with the section on the right to bear arms, which was very intriguing because it's one of the few countries in the world, I think, where, well, you did mention America, fair enough, where the government doesn't insist on knowing exactly what you're doing and which firearm you have, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's brilliant. What I'd like to ask you to expand on a little bit is, once we've seceded, this Bill of Rights and our the new Constitution obviously still has to be developed and so on, but these things that are enshrined in our Bill of Rights, how long is it going to take for them to take effect, so that we can see that this is actually happening? Does it start at a school level? Does it start at a university level? Are we just going to have like talk shows? How is this going to be? And not only the right to bear arms, obviously that's an important one, but the whole Bill of Rights. How are we going to get people to grips with this brand new process?
Yeah, it's not only the Bill of Rights; it's also the new Constitution. It's fairly complicated, quite simply because, again, it depends on how are we going to secede. Are we going to secede on the basis of the perfect pure de jure process, meaning the process of total peace and negotiations, and everything is lovey-dovey? In fact, as nice as the National Party gave South Africa away in 1994, if it happens like that, chances are very slim of that. If it happens like that, then it's perfect, because then you can sort of gradually work yourself into it, exactly the way that it happened in 1994. In 1994, the new constitution came into effect, but it was only provisional at that stage, and only 2 years later, in 1996, it became permanent. So that is obviously the, call it perfect situation to have it, which makes it even more of a joke to realize what the National Party actually did at that stage, how ridiculous it was. The other side of it is, if it's not like that, and it is because of a UDI that we have to declare, which is most probably the biggest probability in any case, then it's much more involved, quite simply because then suddenly you sit with independence, total sovereignty, of which your biggest concern immediately will be to protect your borders, obviously. But in the same sense, your administration in the country must also run. So suddenly you've got to fill those positions. You've got to get people in jobs that most probably they've never done before. And you've got to basically apply the law. And if I say the law here, this is literally from the Constitution right down to municipal law if you want to. So the most logic thing, if it happens like that, is to say, well, then you would gradually work into a new constitution, into a new set of laws and rules. And that gradually can be, depending on the people again, can be fairly fast, 6 months to a year, or it can take 2-3 years. That all depends on the people. My personal opinion, and I would like to see things more positive in life than negative, is that it'll take faster than we think, quite simply because I think we've had enough of the total downtrodden of the minorities. For you guys that don't live in the Western Cape, that don't really know what's happening here, you see your problems, you come here and you think, okay, well, municipalities are run fairly okay, because they hide the corruption. It's much more involved than that, because if, for instance, you look at the colored communities, for instance, I don't think you guys realize how bad it is in the colored communities. Those people have been pushed out and literally left to themselves. It is shocking, to say the least of it. Now, those people must be helped, trained, and be put into jobs. But it doesn't happen overnight. You can't take anybody that hasn't done a job and say, right now you do it. Somebody's got to teach them. So yes, practically I do think that a lot of the people 60 plus will have to go back into the workforce for no other reason than to train people. And that must happen. But part of the training, and this is something that I feel very strong about myself, is to get the minds of the people right.
There we go.
Now, to give you a good example, and this is in the whole spectrum of life, but let me give you just one example. And I mean, I said it the other day, I think it's actually quite a bad thing that I lived in Germany when I was in my early 20s, when I studied there. It was bad because I literally call it learned driving in a country where on the autobahns you've got no speed limit, but you've got something there that they call driving ethics, and it's ethics, but it's in the people's minds a law. If you look at South Africa today, each and every Tom, Dick, and Harry are policemen, speed cops, whatever you want to call them on the roads. Everybody do whatever they want to. There's no ethics. Apart from that, and I've seen this myself more than once, even the traffic officers don't know the law. The only law that they, I think, know is how to stop somebody to make money, because they started becoming an income center for the province as well as for the municipalities. This is the shocking thing. How do you get that new ethics into people's minds, into their lives, and into their living? It'll take time.
Because that becomes a culture, doesn't it?
Of course, yeah. Because one of the things that is, I think it's written in our documentation on the website, because I feel extremely strong about it, is that we've got to start with the one first basic thing: respect for others. If you can respect somebody else, then suddenly you take away, literally, I personally think, 90% of all problems. You know, the interesting thing is, if you start getting angry in a shop, for instance, everybody will attack the person getting angry. But 1 out of 1,000 will say, but why did you get angry? What happened? What is the reason? This is part of the flaw in human's nature.
Yeah.
Is that let's attack the person that's unhappy, that's now fighting, making a scene. Doesn't mean it's right to fight, but there's a reason.
Correct.
If the people had respect in the beginning, that kind of thing, I personally think 90% would disappear. So yes, I do think the attitude of people must be changed, and that basis must be respect for each other. Maar as jy niemand wat my 'n vraag wil vra nie, want ek voel nou dis net ek wat praat die hele tyd.
ek hou dop. As enigiemand se hand opsteek is dan sluit ons aan en ons gesels. Hier's Jolan Stander. I've allowed you to speak. Jy kan goeienaand. Good evening, Jolan. You just have to press that little microphone again, and that will then unmute you. You are added to the stream. There we go. Good evening, Jolan. How are you?
Well, and yourself?
Yeah, good. Afrikaans, English, nes jy wil, Hein luister.
Right, Hein, goeienaand. Ek hoor jy sê die attitude van die mense moet verander word. Maar moet die mense nie hulle attitude self verander nie. Want ons kan nie hulle attitude verander nie. Elke mens moet sy eie attitude verander teenoor die situasie wat voor ons lê. As ons dit vir hulle forceer, dan gaan dit nie werk, dan is dit 'n geforseerde situasie.
Jolan, ek dink jy verstaan my verkeerd dat ek dit duidelik maak. Om mense se houding te verander, gaan nie daaroor dat jy hulle moet forceer nie. Ek sê nie saam jy kan dit nooit doen nie. Jy moet die riglyne gee. En dis presies heel ironies genoeg wat ek nou byvoorbeeld padverbruik genoem het. Hoeveel mense vandag wat op die paaie ry, ken die padreëls en regulasies? En my antwoord aan jou is, ek wil so ver gaan om vir jou te sê, ek wonder of 10% padreëls wetgewings ken. Met ander woorde, as jy nie vir hulle gaan sê, met ander woorde, ek gaan 'n simpel voorbeeld noem. Jy gee 'n boek uit. Verniet. Gee 'n boek uit. Pad etiek byvoorbeeld. En jy gaan sê, kom ons vat 'n voorbeeld. En ons in die Kaap is baie gewoond daaraan. As jy pad ry, of dit nou 'n trok of 'n voertuig of wat ook al is, en dit trek vir jou links af en jy gaan verby, dan sit jou flikkerligte aan en jy sê dankie. Die ou agter, hy sê, ek sien dat jy vir my dankie sê, hy flikker sy ligte. Daarom is nou nie wetgewings oor die goed. Dis etiek, en dit is wederwysige respek. Maar as jy in die transport kom, weet jy nie wat jy doen nie, hulle dink jy's mal in jou kop. Met ander woorde, dis wat ek praat van. Jy leer die mense etiek. Die Transvaaler wat hier gaan kom, baie wat ek al gekom en sê, dis nice, ek hou hiervan, dis lekker. Met ander woorde, dis nie geforseer nie, want nie wat, alles is gebaseer, net gesê op respek. Met ander woorde, as jy kan etiek leer, en in die geval, kom ons praat nou van padverbruik. As jy vir die mense die etiek van padverbruik kan verduidelik en wat dit verstaan, gaan hulle uitsien om te ry. Kom ons gaan terug na 40, 50 jaar terug, waar jy gery het, mense langs die pad gestaan, en hulle het hulle broodjies geëet, en as iemand verbykom, die hoeters toet, en almal waai vir mekaar, jy het nie 'n klou waar daai mense is nie, maar dit is lekker.
Interessant genoeg, ek het vanaand gery van Mosselbaai af, Dannabaai toe, en ek het 'n spannetjie ouens wat gery het op pad Kaap toe gekry, en dit was 'n oor en weer gehoetery, en dit was gewaaiery, dit was 'n vriendelike situasie, jy kon absoluut die verbinding tussen die twee groepe kon jy sien. Ek verstaan presies wat jy vir my sê. Met die gevolg is, wat my kop vir my sê is, as ek dit reg verstaan, ons moet hulle die leiding gee in die rigting van yes, okay, ek is met jou.
Absoluut. Dis presies wat dit is. Dis net leiding. Want onthou nou moet jy ook verstaan. Ons benadering, en ek sê nou net, dis ons benadering. Dis nie wetgewing nie, dis ons benadering is. Ons is, of iemand het eendag vir my gesê, jy's 'n konservatiewe libertarian. En toe ek mooi daaroor gaan dink, toe sê ek, jy is 100% reg. Met ander woorde, ons wil so min as moontlik wetgewing sê. Want as jy mooi dit gaan ontleed, gaan jy agterkom, 'n libertarian, 'n suiwer libertarian wil geen wetgewing sê nie, en dis onrealisties, is belaglik. Maar as jy mooi gaan kyk na 'n konservatiewe libertarian, dan beteken dit, jy gaan wetgewing sê. Maar eintlik, jou hele lewe, met ander woorde, die nuwe land se mense, se etiek begin baseer op wederwysige respek, het jy baie wetgewing eintlik nodig, as ons eerlik daaroor is.
Absoluut.
Met ander woorde, dis waarna ek verwys. Ons moet 'n ander, kom ons gebruik die Engelse woord, attitude begin kry. Op hierdie stadium is die meeste van ons hoogs geïrriteerd, hoogs bedonderd, hoogs gefrustreerd, en jy wil, as jy uitgaan uit jou eiendom uit, wil jy wil eintlik beklei, jy wil eintlik iets anders te doen, want jy weet jy gaan probleme kry iewers in Samoa. Nou, dit is as gevolg van dit wat in die land aangaan, dis logies. Skus tog?
Ek stem nie heeltemal saam, en jy sien dit daagliks op sosiale media ook. Die mense is, kom ons gebruik nou maar daai woord, gatvol, maar almal praat net en almal wys net en almal, maar daar's nêrens die rigleiding wat sê, kom ons gaan in die rigting, en dit is wat ek nou die idee kry, dit is waar jy in beweeg, en ek verstaan, ek is met jou.
Ja. Fantasties, Jolan, baie dankie. Hein, jy kan 'n oproepie van Jolan verwag. Dis 'n spesiale omstandigheid. Ek het vir hom jou nommer gegee. Ons sal nou
hy het al lank op my nommer, hy is nie lus met my te praat nie, want hy's ook van Mosselbaai.
Ja, nee, meneer Marx, gaan kyk jou WhatsApp, gaan kyk jou oproepe, ek het jou al gebel. Ons moet mekaar uitkom, dis bitter nodig.
Sien jy wat ek jou sê? Net die verkeerde knoppie, nee, dan's almal van ons op ons agtervoete. Ek het al WhatsApp op Facebook goed gelees, en onmiddellik wil Facebook. As ek 'n tweede keer lees, dan sê ek, nee, dis nie wat die persoon bedoel het nie, die persoon het iets anders bedoel. Daar's deel van ons almal se probleem. Ons moet verstaan, ons sit in 'n gemors, maar op die einde van die dag, ons het nou glo, en dit met alle respek, bewys die VVA, vir hoeveel jaar nou al. Dis ons eie toedoen, dat ons dit nie reg maak nie. Want ons kan, wetgewing is 100% aan ons kant, ook Suid-Afrikaanse wetgewing, maar ons mense is te gerieflik, dis die probleem.
Absoluut, ja, Hein is reg, ek sê jou hoor 'n lytjie gee, dan kan ons gesels en maak as 'n plan om tot by mekaar uitkom.
100%, 100.
Baie dankie, Jolan. Jy kan net weer daai mikrofoontjie van jou se knoppie druk en dit sal jou mute. Dan daar sê baie dankie. Tannie Joyce, ek sien Tannie Joyce se hand was opgewees. Goeienaand Tannie. Daar sê, goeienaand, gaan dit goed?
Nou, julle almal luister, ek nou vinnig praat, want ons krag gaan oor 3 minute af. Dan ek van die lig af. So, nee, ek dink nou Hein praat van die respek. Weet jy, en ek dink ons moet ons dorpe ook respekteer. En ons dorpe skoon hou. Want jy weet, jare gelede toe ons nog, ek dink as in die 60, het jy 'n boete gekry op Appington waar ons gebly het, as jy net 'n piedeltjie op 'n sigaret stond in die straat gegooi en ons dorpe was baie skoon. As iemand gesien het die blou baie, jy gooi 'n piedeltjie op 'n sigaret op 'n papier had jy 'n boete gekry, ons dorpe was altyd skoon. Ek noem dit maar, dit was vir my nogal iets wat Dwayne daarvan praat, dat die mens jou dorp ook moet respekteer. So, ek gaan seker nou van die lig af oor so 3 minute, want dan gaan ons dag af, dan is my wifi ook af.
Hallo Joyce, hoe gaan het met jou?
Dit gaan heel goed aan.
Joyce, wie was interessant, jy praat nou van die boete. Ek onthou jy in 70er jare, as jy vrouwtjie, wat met 'n stompie vir uit 'n karret gegooi, dis die boete R10.
Ja,
maar die realiteit is net sê, toe besef ek kry eintlik hoendervleis soos sê. Dis waaroor dit gaan. Hoekom was hierdie land so skoon vroeër? Want selfs deur, kom ons noem dit in die geval, 'n boetesisteem het die houding van mense verander. Want jy gooi nie 'n ding uit 'n kar uit nie. Aanvanklik in jou kop dink jy, ek wil nie 'n boete kry nie, maar aan die ander kant besef jy, dis verkeerd.
Ja.
Wat kan jy meestal? Niemand voel enigiets nie. Pas van almal. Gooi uit die saak.
Ja, nee, Alpenter was dood van so skoon geweest. Regtig waar, daar jy mag nie 'n stompie vir sigaret, stompie vir vuurtjie gooi. Maar ons gaan nou net af, so as julle my nou mis, dan mis julle my. Dan sien julle.
Alright. Baie dankie Tannie Joyce.
Bye Joyce.
Ja, julle moet lekker slaap en dan gaan ek sommer later hierdie luister. Ja.
Dankie daar op die Ketberg. Bye.
Hein, Rochelle se handjie was opgewees. Rochelle, ek het jou by die stroom aangesluit. Jy kan jouself net unmute weer. Jy weet mos nou hoe om dit te doen. Daar sê, goeienaand.
Goeienaand almal, baie dankie. Ek wil eintlik maar net is eintlik 'n vraagie. Ek kom sluit maar nou net aan by die topic. Van respek en daai tipe van ding. Maar wat ek eintlik wil praat oor is, jy het vroeër genoem van die mense sal met vuurwapens kan, hoe sal ek sê, dit sal okay wees. Ek wil net sê, dit was vir my gisteraand baie oorweldigend. Ek bly hier naby die woonstelle en die skote het geklap, soos die gangsters op mekaar skiet. So, my vraagie is, gaan daar iets aan daai tipe van ding ook gedoen word? Gaan daar 'n wetgewing rondom daai tipe van goed ook wees? Want dit was
Ja, Rochelle, kom ek gaan vir jou so sê, onthou, hierdie goeders, daar is altyd 'n voorwaarde vir alles. Of so sê jy, with conditions. Nee. Staan die kleinste altyd.
Terms and conditions apply.
Terms and conditions is baie belangrik. Punt nommer 1 is, kom ek begin sommer by die gangsters. Kyk, dis 'n lang gesprek. Ons kan dit nie in een aand afhandel nie, die gangsters op die Kaapse vlakte nie. Want die gangster, of kom ons stel dit so, die gemiddelde gangster, praat nie van die 26s en die 28s nie. Die gemiddelde gangster het ontstaan as gevolg van 'n arbeidsprobleem. Jy weet dit net so goed soos ek. Dis waar die grootste probleem met die breinkinders vandag lê, want hulle word ingetrek wanneer sy inkomste. So dis 'n ander gesprek. Maar ek kan al vir jou sê, die gangster wat sy lewe suiwer net wil aanhou gemaak het soos hy dit nou doen, uit moord, roof, drugs, prostitusie, dis die hoofsaaklike goeders. Ek kan al vir jou sê, en sê dit baie reg en baie duidelik, hulle daar vertel. Hulle is deel van ons mense, maar hulle moet kies waar hulle wil wees. Want hulle gaan nie in die 5-ster hoteltronke sit wat hulle vandag gesit nie. Dis verby, dis gone, dit gaan nie bestaan nie. Om jou te antwoord in terme van vuurwapens. Skiet toch?
Kom die klipkap daar terug.
Nou praat ons met mekaar. Ons praat van chain gangs. Chain gangs.
Yes.
Verseker. Dit gaan nie meer die kaartjie wees wat deesdae aan die gang is nie. Daar sit hoeveel van die gangsters in die tronke vandag, wat spesifiek van polsmoord. Hulle wil nie uitgaan nie. Want hulle maak meer geld met 'n beter lewe in die tronk as wat hulle buite kan hê.
Exactly.
En dit beteken nie net vir die samelewing niks nie. Inteendeel, presies soos jy sê, daar word geskiet. En privaat mense en kinders Hoeveel breinkinders is hierdie afgelope paar jaar al op die Kaapse vlakte per ongeluk doodgeskiet? Ek kan nie eens meer tel nie. En met alle respek, ek wonder of ons van almal weet.
Ja.
Maar, jou vraag is eintlik meer direk gewees. Wat gaan gebeur met almal kan vuurwapens sê, hulle kan ook vuurwapens sê? Nee. Terms and conditions apply. Jy gaan 'n vuurwapen kan hê as jy gewet is om 'n vuurwapen te hê. Met ander woorde, 'n gangster. hy gaan in sy kop uit vergeet hoe lyk 'n vuurwapen. Hy het dit maar vergeet in sy lewe. Alle mense moet deur 'n toets gaan om te sien of hulle 'n vuurwapen kan hanteer. En dan praat ons van nie net fisies nie, ook sielkundig.
Sielkundig, ja.
In alle opsigte. Een van die goed wat ek gesê het, en dit is, die sielkundebedryf in Suid-Afrika gaan blom as gevolg van al die werk wat die staat vir hulle gaan gee. Want hulle sal hulle storie moet ken.
Ek gaan nou sielkunde swat.
Jy kan maar laat wy. So, glo vir my as ek vir jou sê, die terms and conditions apply is baie belangrik. Jy kan nie net in regs vuurwapens gaan uitgee vir mense wat nie weet hoe nie. Inteendeel die realiteit hiervan is, dat die volgende geslag, kinders, gaan eers werklik hierdie ding ten volle kan begin, ek wil amper sê geniet. Want hulle gaan letterlik, en dit is een van die goed wat ons voorsien, van skooltyd op skool, gaan hulle al alles geleer word van 'n vuurwapen. Die gevaar
Ek is
van...
nou so excited. Ek hoop ek lewe nog daai tyd.
Nee, verseker, ek dink nie so nie. Met ander woorde, 'n nuwe, wat het ons reg in die begin gesê? Attitude. Mense se totale benadering tot hulle land, tot ons mense moet verander. Met ander woorde, as iemand nie 'n vuurwapen byvoorbeeld kan kry nie, dan kan hy hom nie kry met 'n baie goeie idee. Met 'n goeie rede. Ja. En om dan daaroor te moan, moet hy eintlik sy mond hou, want hy het 'n probleem. Hy het 'n probleem hoekom hy nie 'n vuurwapen kan kry nie. So hy moet eintlik maar net stil bly en in die proses, soos net gesê, respek hê vir die feit dat hy dit nie kan kry nie. Daar's 'n rede wees voor. Ek hoop dit antwoord jou vraag.
Baie dankie dit doen. Baie dankie.
Dis hier.
Ek het ook nog iets wat ek wil sê is, ek het vroeër met ook een van my WhatsApp kontakte gepraat. Ook vir hom gesê hy moet vir ons join hier op die stream, maar ek sien hom hier nie. En vir hom gesê hy moet sy mandaat vir ons gee en gesê waaroor dit gaan. Toe sê hy vir my, ek wil nou sê wat hy gesê het. Hy sê vir my, jene, ek het die verkeerde een weet. Hy sê vir my, ek stem nie saam nie, ek dink, dis onmenslik. Elkeen het sy grondwetlike reg om sy eie lewe te lei. Ek voel dis die rede dat groot hoeveelheid wit mense Kaap toe trek om weer te regeer en ou Suid-Afrikaanse vlag in te stel ten koste van ander. My respons daarop was net dat hy die kat aan die stert weet het, maar dat ek nie met hom gaan stry nie. Ek het net vir hom die link gegee, gesê, gaan kyk, gaan lees, alles deur daar by freethecape.org en dan kom sê jy my weer.
Jy het baie mooi geantwoord. Ek sou nie so mooi gewees het nie. Want die grap is, hy weet nie eens van die klok nie, hy weet nie eens van die klank nie. Hy het gehoor iewers somewhere is 'n klok en 'n klank.
Exactly.
Onmiddellik bring hy die wit in.
Exactly.
Ek wil gaan kyk waarvoor ons staan. Gaan kyk waarvoor ons veg. Ek hoef nie te sê nie, jy is nie genoeg, jy weet presies wat ons gevoel is. Dis alsbehalwe wit brein. Inteendeel, een van die goed wat ons gaan hê, wat hierdie wonderlike nuwe ANC regering kan ons ook het, is ons gaan nie 'n rasklassifikasie hê nie.
Ek het hom dit gesê ook.
Maar wat,
Ons gaan
maar wat
kyk
sê
net
die
'n bietjie.
117 wette vandag, wat hulle BBBE noem?
Ja. Nee, toe sê ek vir hom, pak my
Rasgebaseerde
sakkies.
wetgewings.
Ek het gesê,
Maar
pak my sakkies en gaan bly in Suid-Afrika.
ja, hy is welkom om daar te gaan bly. Ons gaan hom nie stop nie.
So baie dankie, Hein. Ek is uitgesort.
Dis reg, dankie Lucille. Is daar nog enige vrae, mense?
Lyk my die mense is beantwoord. Hein,
Dan kan ons môre afstig. Die saak is reg.
Daar's hy. Ja, nee, is reg. Dit is, jy weet, ons praat so oor hierdie goed en mense raak baie opgewonde en jy weet, ek het dit nou al baie keer gehoor en ek self raak opgewonde. Ek wil dit net, jy weet, dit moet net gebeur. Ons wil dit daar hê. Mense moet nou begin ons woord uitkry daar. Dit is al wat dit gaan vat.
Ja.
Okay, terwyl ons nog 2 of 3 minute oor het, I just want to quickly touch on another thing. We're not even going to finish our Bill of Rights this evening. We have to pick it up again next week. But number 8 is the freedom of movement of people and wealth. Okay, where one of the points, point 4, in fact, says that there will be no restrictions, foreign exchange control, that may be placed on movement of wealth into or between states or out of the country when all taxes due were paid. So this is most now a problem because now people are going to come to the country and make a lot of money and then take the money out of the country. And how can, I mean, you know, even in South Africa, there are regulations that you're not allowed to take, I think it's R1 million or something, you're not allowed to take out because otherwise what is the ANC going to live on?
Okay, Brett, if you understand the international... Excuse nog, sê weer?
Jy weet nou, ek praat so tong in die kiet.
Ja, nee, ek weet ja. If you understand international monetary systems and economy, but in the process also understand human nature. The moment you force somebody not to do something, they will do it. The more freedom people have got, the more successful they will become. So,
right.
By not regulating the flow of money in or out of a country, all you're doing is you're opening your economic system for growth. That's all it is. That's all it is, nothing else. Because remember, you say people will come in, make money and go out. Okay? The reality is people that come in will have to be vetted. Meaning, if it's a company that comes in, they'll have to be vetted. If it's a person, they'll have to be vetted. Not everybody. I mean, if you look on the website and you see what is our requirements for immigration, it's very strong. Don't make a mistake. We're not going to let anybody just in. So if you come in and you stay here, the whole idea is that you open your, call it business community, your financial system to those people to then literally, genuinely become successful. Why? Because why would he go back to wherever he came from? Why would he want to go back to another place where he hasn't got the opportunities he's got here, firstly, and secondly, this beautiful country of ours, thirdly, the fact that he can move his money whatever way he wants to. Believe me if I tell you, the moment that you open it up, but you've got the opportunity for business and growth, you will economically explode the way that you grow. There is no question about it.
I totally do. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Sorry. The problem always comes back, always, to the government of the day. In this case, the ANC. Firstly, they don't understand not the beginning or the end or the running or anything of economy. The other problem is they want to meddle in things that they should not. Do I really have to go into any of the SAAs and ESCOMs and whatever we had, telecoms, that they made a mess of? Everything is a mess. And I'm saying everything is a mess.
Absolutely.
Okay? So, now the question is, what do you do? The government does not interfere in business. The job of a government is not to create jobs. The job of a government is to create an environment for business to thrive in. It's not the government that must create jobs by employing people. Who's going to pay them? The taxpayers. So where must they come from? They must create an environment for people to literally have businesses, to employ people. Simple as that. There's no funny things about it. And the moment that they do that, then suddenly the economy starts growing. Then suddenly people want to not only move to the country, but businesses from overseas would like to come and do business here. What's happening at the moment in the world? There's one massive red flag for us. And that is the big corporations that want to control everything. So, now we've got to decide if we want them here. My personal opinion, of course we don't want them here. Of course we don't want them here.
Yeah, one has to think about back to the time when we had all the sanctions, and actually that was like a major catalyst for massive innovation in every sector of the economy. So there's no reason why we can't do that again. I see Yolan had unmuted himself. He wants to like to add to the conversation, I think. Just before he does, though, just to add onto what you were saying, Hein, I actually see in the future, and I actually wrote a little news article for our newspaper about that last week, where the outside companies, international companies, will be trying to poach our students and our young entrepreneurs out of South Africa, and they're just going to turn around and say, well, there's absolutely no reason why I should take up your offer. I'm getting enough money. I've got a great environment here. My career is blooming. So I'm staying. So it's going to be exactly the opposite of.
You start making people proud of their country again.
Yeah, absolutely. Jolan, wou jy nog ietsie bygevoeg daar? Ek het gesien jy het jouself unmute. Maar hy is nou weer gemute.
Ek is al weer hierso.
Is jy weer hier?
Ek is nog steeds hierso. Ek het my antwoord gekry oor die ekonomie en ook oor die wapensituasie. Ek sal dit in diepe bietjie meer bespreek met Hein wanneer ek hom sien.
Okay, daar's hy 100% goed. Okay, last chance. Dankie Jolan. Any more questions? Otherwise I'm going to close it off for the evening. We've had our good share. Thanks very much. Thank you everybody for being here. Hein, bye Donkey. Thank you so much for being on The Naked Truth this evening. If you'd like to say a word of inspiration, the heart-lifting inspiration until next week.
I won't know if it'll be inspirational, but maar Brett, no, thank you very much again. Thank you for everybody listening. I think that people must start inviting other people more to these chats, because people must understand what the vision is. And this is our vision. If people come in and say, listen, but I've got this and this and this idea that we haven't thought of, then do it. You're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the greater good, that we can incorporate the good ideas. Ons moet verstaan, dis waarna ek reg in die begin verwys het. Ons houding moet verander. Ons etiek teenoor goed moet verander. Ons moet dit baseer op wederwysige respek. En dit kan ons slegs doen as ons die mense se inkoop daarbey het. Maar die mense se inkoop gaan jy slegs kry as jy dit duidelik genoeg kan verduidelik. Die meeste van die mense op hierdie groep vanaand, die meeste, weet klaar wat ons houding teenoor hierdie goed is. Hulle weet klaar wat ons houding teenoor die hele nuwe land is. Met ander woorde, kom met ons saamwerk en laat ons beter lewe vir onsself en definitief vir ons kinders en nageslagte daar kan stel. Want baie mense dink en sê, dit kan nie gebeur nie. Regtig nie? Kom ons wees gou eerlik met mekaar. Hoe lank het die ANC geveg om op die einde van die dag dit als beskikbaar te kry? Ons wil nie veg nie. Ons gebruik sommer die wetgewing om dit te doen. Maar ons het die mense nodig om dit te wil hê. En dis al wat ons vra. As julle dit wil hê, kry die ander mense om in te koop. Al is dit vir baie mense net om hulle mandate te gee. Want sonder daai mandate is die hele proses waardeloos gewees. Dankie, thank you.
Thank you. As Hein always says, the ULA cannot succeed for you without you. Thanks very much, everybody, for being on The Naked Truth this evening. And bye-bye. We'll see you again on Thursday. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.